Dejas to kick it off for Houston in blue. And it's Darryl Clack and Cornell Burbage for the Cowboys at the other end. And Zayden Dejas, after a couple of practice swings, is now ready to go. The Oilers 8-4, the Cowboys 2-10. And if Houston can win this game and the next three, they will then host the second round of the playoffs and avoid the wild card. Underway with a long kick, and the Cowboys will take the touchback. Burbage, and it's first down out of the 20-yard line. For the Cowboys, Steve Pallure, and the back and forth, the revolving door quarterback situation here, with Herschel Walker has more combined yards than anyone in the NFL. Todd Fowler for the injured Timmy Newsome at fullback. Ray Alexander's had a fine year. Michael Irvin, their top draft pick out of Miami of Florida. Thornton Chandler, the tight end. The offensive line, Wydell, a rookie. Newton, Rafferty, one of the old-timers that go back to the Super Bowl years of the 70s. Crawford Kerr, perhaps their best lineman. And Kevin Gogan, a 300-pounder from Washington. And Herschel Walker drives for 4 yards, slashing off left tackle. Walker, who is second to Eric Dickerson in the NFL in rushing with 1,150 yards coming in. William Fuller, 95, made the tackle. He's one of the front three. Ray Childress is having a all-pro year at the left end position. Richard Byrd moving inside this season. The linebackers, Robert Lyles, John Grimsley, Al Smith leads in tackles, and Johnny Meads, they'll come after you. Steve Brown and Patrick Allen, they can play man on the corners. Keith Bostic and a very tough safety, Jeff Donaldson. 2nd and 6. Walker, a little misdirection, and he's got a blocker. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line. A first down for Walker behind the block of 61, Nate the Kitchen Newton.
The Cowboys have worked hard to bring that size of that offensive line up to speed. Nate Newton, one of the largest guards in the NFL, well over 300 pounds, but he can still move that big frame. Just buries Bostic on the outside, and Bostic, a very physical safety. Walker doing what they wanted him to do, which is to control the football. But again, you've got to keep from making mistakes to keep that drive alive.
Nate's brother Tim, who plays for the Vikings, already moving toward the Thanksgiving table after the win against the Lions. And it's Walker carrying on the first 3 plays of this game, and he's out to the 44-yard line, another half dozen for Walker, the Heisman winner at the University of Georgia a few seasons ago.
Field level, Herschel Walker is not a great pick-a-hole runner. He's better when he knows where the hole is going to be. And, of course, this line, styled after the Hogs in Washington. Walker limping, by the way. Notice a little limp there. Their strength right now, just driving people off the line, getting a piece of them and taking them back.
Play action to Walker, then the throw to Clack. Did he catch it in bounds? No, he was juggling.
They juggled the football.
Incomplete. Johnny Meads, 91, on the coverage for Houston.
He's got to have possession of the football with both feet in bounds. A clear chance to catch this ball, which is well thrown by Pallure. But watch where the feet are when he finally gets control of the football. Got 1 foot in, but the second foot did not come down after he took control of that ball.
Officials may be looking at it, the instant replay. We'll see. It's 3rd down and 4 at the moment as the Cowboys break huddle. Ray Alexander, far left. He has 43 catches. And to the near side, Michael Irvin, the brilliant rookie.
8-9 defenders up for Houston. They'll run some real pressure defenses.
30 seconds left to 17 seconds, please. 17 seconds.
Resetting the 30-second clock down to 17.
Talking to Jerry Glanville, I was talking to him about dogs and blitzes. He said, we don't consider it a blitz unless we bring 7 or 8 or 9 guys. I said,
well, he even brings extras at the will call. He's looking for miracles.
They bring them all.
Let's see, he had 2 tickets left today for Buddy Holly.
I wonder if, well, there's some empty seats, so maybe Holly's in one of those.
3rd and 4. Pallure, first down yardage to Walker, who not only leads in rushing, but he's the leading pass catcher. Comes in with 44 receptions on the year. 6 more yards. Keith Bostic made the hit.
Little flare pattern. Bostic comes up to get a piece of Walker there. But Herschel, with good hands, has not been as important a receiver late in the year as he was early in the year. Still leads the team, as you mentioned, Dick, in receiving.
Walker again. It's been all Walker on this drive. No one else has handled the ball or caught it. He's inside the 45-yard line. A gain of 5 more. Ray Childress and Keith Bostic made the tackle. Well, Jerry Glanville, a very clever head man. This 47-year-old head coach. Through the course of the year, he's left tickets for special people. Elvis Presley, James Dean. He couldn't get tickets to Phantom of the Opera in New York, so he left tickets for the Phantom. Wickenhauser, the zoo manager of the Pittsburgh Zoo. Lonnie Anderson in Cincinnati. D.B. Cooper, the air pirate. And now Buddy Holly. I thought maybe Pocahontas might get a call today.
Strange formation. 2 tight ends together flip-flopping, but it doesn't fool
William Fuller. 95 went right into Walker and drops him for a loss. Fuller, part of the big trade when Jim Everett, the quarterback who did not want to play for the Oilers, or at least wouldn't sign with them, traded him to the Rams, and they picked off several players, Fuller being one. 95.
Fuller was kind of a throw-in in that trade. He has turned out to be a real asset.
Of course, Kent Hill, the offensive lineman, was a key player. He has since been released. 3rd down and 6, a passing situation for the first time, a true pass situation, and Pallure in the shotgun. Over the middle, wide open is Alexander, and he's inside the 30 to the 23. Ray Alexander. His first catch today is 44th of the year. 22 yards.
Ray Alexander, the most consistent of these Cowboy receivers. Steve Brown physically handling him at the line, but then Alexander just stops short to snare that football. And watch him drag some bodies with him as he gets away from 3 tacklers. Finally dragged down after about a 10-yard gain. Lots of blue shirts there to pick him up, but they've got a good drive going here, Dick.
Darryl Clack and Herschel Walker now in the eye, and it's Walker. And he runs into a sea of blue. Leading the charge, 59, John Grimsley, who played his football at Kentucky. Steve Brown, former Oregon star, there as well.
Call him X-Ray. John X-Ray Grimsley. I said, how'd you get that name? He said, well, kind of embarrassing. Said, I hurt my arm in one game. They had to drag me in and take x-rays to see if it was broken. He said, I was fighting to get back out on the field. But amazing how you pick up those kinds of nicknames from insignificant acts at times.
Was it Willie Gault they called X-Ray once because he was so fast that that's just about what you saw. 2nd down, 11. Pallure to the 2-yard line, and a flag is down as Michael Irvin, the rookie, makes the catch in the seam of the zone. Patrick Allen with a tackle. That's 22 yards if it counts. And it does. Holding against the Oilers. Well, this is a charming young guy, this Michael Irvin, and quite a talented receiver.
Confident, bit of a hot dog on the field, but knows what he's doing, and he's working against a fine cornerback. And so far, the emotional level of this Houston defense not up to the kind of performance that we have seen from them earlier in the year. I think perhaps they were looking at Dallas film and watching what's happened to the Cowboys the last few weeks, remembering that 54-10 pasting that they gave them earlier in the year, and maybe are not quite ready to get it in gear.
And Walker on 1st and goal does not get in. He's inside the 1. Kenny Johnson an extra back, and others there to stack up the play. Walker, surprisingly, has only 2 rushing touchdowns all year.
Warren Moon has 3. That'll give you a little feeling for what it's done, even with all his yards. And Walker trying to run in behind Waddell and Newton. Both 300-pounders on the left side of that line, and Houston's defense threw him back.
Todd Fowler, and that didn't fool the Oilers as they sent Walker to the right and tried to counter back inside with a fullback Fowler, and he is stopped short.
Danny White in the red sweater will do the signaling for Tom Landry, as will Kevin Sweeney, both signaling. One will be a live signal, one a dead signal. But right now, the Cowboys, I said they had to start fast in this ball game. Worst thing that could happen is to be denied this touchdown after getting it down there with a 1st and 2 to go on the 2-yard line.
Remember, they've scored only 6 points in the first half in the last 3 games total. Walker, touchdown. High-flying Herschel Walker, and the Cowboys have scored on their first possession.
When a team is hungry to win, you don't want to give them this kind of cause to celebrate. They've taken the ball the first time out. They took it right down the field, down the throat of this Houston defense, and they put it in the end zone. This is exactly the way Tom Landry wanted to see this game begin.
Roger Ruzick out of Fleur's hold for the extra point. Whoops. Ray Childress coming up the middle. And of course, the Oilers, the best NFL team in blocking kicks. They have no less than 5 blocked punts to tie an NFL record. And they've got a couple of points after blocked as well.
Motion, they say, against the Cowboys. Somebody moving a little early. But Dick, the one thing I'm sure of, this game is not going to end 7-0.
Illegal snap to center 64. 5-yard penalty.
Center twitching with that ball. They do that occasionally.
Illegal no snap.
Well, a smart center on this kind of situation often will just tip that ball up a little bit, try and draw you offside.
So a bit longer on the extra point try by Ruzick, who kicked at Weber State. Cowboys have scored more points in their first possession today than in 6 quarters of the first half the last 3 games. And it's Herschel Walker who gets the call. Randy White out of Maryland, our #1 pick of the Cowboys back in '75. Happy to be around in his 14th year, although he certainly has played a limited role, injuries being part of that. We'll talk more about him. Your feelings, Merlin, that had he come into the league at this time, he would not have been known as a defensive line star. Deep to return, Leonard Harris for the Oilers as Ruzick approaches. Short, spinner, Harris, 11. Oh, is he hammered by Mark Whalen. Defensive tackle from UCLA at the 25-yard line. For the Houston Oilers, Warren Moon having a solid year, has only 4 interceptions. Mike Rozier, Alonzo Highsmith. Boy, they have a talented stable of running backs in Houston. Drew Hill and Ernest Givens, those 2 5'9" wide receivers. Tough to pick which one you like most. Jamie Williams, the tight end. The blockers, many of them #1 picks. Davis, Munchak, Tennyson, Matthews, Steinkuhler. From the 25. Mike Rozier. Like Walker, a Heisman winner, he's out to the 28-yard line, a gain of 3.
Houston Oilers love to get you in a situation where they can use those 2 wides against your defense.
Defensively, Ed Too Tall Jones at 37 is playing great football. Kevin Brooks, Danny Noonan, and Jim Jeffcoat, the 4-man front for the Cowboys. Ron Burton, Eugene Lockhart, and Gary Cobb, the ex-Lion. Everson Walls, the second all-time in interceptions, Cowboy history. Robert Williams, a fine surprise at the corners. Bill Bates leads in tackles, and Michael Downs, another veteran at safety. Out of the shotgun, Moon going long, and too long for Curtis Duncan from Northwestern. Well covered by Bates and Walls. It'll be 3rd and 7.
In Hill and Givens, Moon has the finest tandem of wide receivers going right at this moment in the NFL. Clayton and Duper down in Miami, I think, had that honor last year, and I think in Gibbons and Hill, the two best this year, and he loves to get him in the slot and work nose up against the defense. So what a challenge with 4 speedy wide receivers, and you know you've got to cover those 2 guys inside. Then what do you do?
4 wide receivers. They call this their red formation. With Hill in motion. On top again. Almost caught by Gibbons. What a try by Gibbons from the University of Louisville. Victor Scott, just activated yesterday, broke up the pass.
Moon with a very strong arm, not afraid to go to a man who's double covered.
Illegal use of the hands, 63 offense, a jam to the face, penalty refused, 4th down.
Mike Munchak, the left guard from Penn State. Pass incomplete, and the Cowboys will take the ball. Greg Montgomery from Michigan State, the rookie, an early pick. And Kelvin Martin, Kmart they call him, there at the 30-yard line for Dallas. End over end and short. Martin will let it bounce, so it was just short enough to be a long kick as it rolls all the way down to the 10-yard line or thereabouts.
Chris Dishman did a great job of covering that kick to make it possible to down it on the 10.
Timeout with the Cowboys in front early. Gallen, 29, the defensive back. They can go a little one-on-one tomorrow. Their Thanksgiving holiday, they call him Doc, his favorite athlete, Dr. J, retired Philadelphia star.
Important drive here for the Cowboys to sustain their first drive. Most impressive. You don't want to make a mistake down here in your own territory.
By the way, Montgomery's kick of 61 yards, his longest of this his rookie year. Here comes Herschel. Boy, even when he's protecting the ball and seemingly slowing down, dragging players with him, and he has a 14-yard gain. What a start for Walker.
Running in behind Waddell, a big left tackle, and Herschel set it up by just diving inside and then driving back outside. Good blocking in there as Al Smith, number 54, can't get off from his linebacking position. That's Nate Newton, 61, locked up on him with big guards on the linebackers. Not a good match for this Houston defense.
That's Irvin in motion. Darryl Clack gets the call for a couple of yards. Clack, former Arizona State star, picked in the 2nd round a couple of years ago. He's a 213-pounder. Ernie Stautner, the defensive wizard of the Cowboys, with some of his pupils, young and old.
One of the things about this Dallas team that has often been criticized is the kind of defensive plan that they run. The old flex defense still very much a part of their plan, and it is indeed a run-oriented defense that I believe is a little bit behind the times.
2nd down and 8. Pallor on the roll. He likes to run and has to run. Out of bounds at the 32-yard line, 3 yards shy of a 1st down. Pallor played at the University of Washington.
Let's turn this play loose and watch the pocket develop. We'll get it to stop as we get underway. Go ahead and get things started here. Allow this play to start. Stop it right there. Notice how fine a pocket they've developed here, but this is already a situation where Pallor is going to roll out. And he sees some opening on the outside. It's a shame they didn't have a pass call because that was great protection, but they do plan the rollout for him quite frequently.
And a 1st down catch by Kelvin Martin, his 42nd of the year. Martin from Boston College. He is rapidly developing as an outstanding receiver.
They say he's the kind of receiver a quarterback just absolutely loves because always wants the football, but he doesn't yap at you all the time in the huddle. You just know that he'd like to catch you.
Danny White told me yesterday, the veteran quarterback who's on the injured list, that he thinks that this group of receivers is the best he's ever seen with the Cowboys.
I'll tell you, they've got some outstanding talent, and they're a little bit different than most of the receivers you see around the league. Some of the tallest receivers operating in the NFL, certainly I think the tallest as a group.
Leading 7-0 here in the first quarter. The Cowboys with another first down. And short yardage this time as Ray Childress stacks up Herschel Walker right at the 40-yard line. There's Childress. He's had a big year. 7.5 sacks. He's recovered 7 fumbles.
Point of attack as you get a chance to watch a little cutoff block on the backside. They're trying to get Ray Childress down, and you've got to take him down, because if you don't get him on the ground, he's going to be a part of the tackle. And even though they got his feet out from underneath him, he's still got a part of the action. He has had one outstanding year.
Fake to Walker. Wide open is Alexander. And the tall, slender receiver, as he did the first time, gets another 4 or 5 yards after the catch. He was a free agent picked by Denver 4 years ago, then went up to Calgary in the Canadian Football League and returned to Dallas last year. Didn't play because of a broken wrist.
This Houston defense, an awful lot of man-to-man coverage, and you see it here. But what they've been able to do in the past is to force the mistakes, to force the turnovers, just with some really vicious hitting back there, some hard hitting and good tough football. I think you may see some blitzing going on here pretty quick. They're not getting the kind of heat on Pelluer that they need to have from their regular pass rush.
3 minutes left in the first quarter, and offside. Number 96, Sean Jones, the ex-Los Angeles Raider, acquired by trade this year. We'll see whether or not he was drawn off.
Encroachment, 96 defense.
Now it's against Jones.
Still first down.
And so the Cowboys, leading 7-0 and taking this drive from their own 10, have marched now back into Houston territory at the 40.
Jones a little bit embarrassed, I think. No one moving. His eagerness got him into the secondary. That's a lonesome feeling back there. Whoops.
I think the officials came into this game with an extra supply of hankies. These are the two most penalized teams in the NFL. They've been penalized over a mile this year between them. Walker, whoa. Boy, the gate shut on him as Robert Lyles from TCU, the defensive end, and outside linebacker, plays both up and down, smothers him.
Lyles, number 93, looked like they had him blocked, but he said, no way, I'm coming after you. And Walker, who looked to be trying to pick a hole there, couldn't find anything going. That's more indicative of the kind of defense that these Houston Oilers have been playing during this season. In fact, I said it in the opening, I'll say it again. They've made more big plays as a front seven, I believe, than any front seven in the NFL.
Pelluer faking to Walker, throwing for Fowler, incomplete. Jeff Donaldson on the coverage along with Johnny Meads. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Steve Pelluer has gotten off to a good start in this game, even though he threw a very bad pass there, and obviously unhappy with the pattern that was run. But a great many of the breakdowns have come from that quarterbacking position during this season. Pelluer has been under great heat, but he's made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of those mistakes have come in a scrambling situation.
Last week against the Bengals, Pelluer, who has shared duties recently with Kevin Sweeney, had a decent game. But the Cowboys the last 3 weeks falling so far behind in the first half, there was no doubt they got some cosmetic scores in the second half. Leading 7-0 late in the first quarter. Pelluer broken up by Keith Bostic, number 25, trying to hit Ray Alexander. And the punting team, Mike Saxon, comes on for the first time.
First drive all the way into the end zone, but this one obviously will not make it. They're able to get Bostic into great position, and boy, he almost was able to bring that football down.
Former University of Michigan star as they double Alexander. Kenny Johnson back at the 10-yard line. Saxon averaging over 41 a punt, but he's just trying to drop this one inside the 10 if he can. Very high, but too deep. it will come to the 20-yard line. The Oilers have the ball for the second time in this first quarter. They trail Dallas 7-0. Only a minute and a half remaining in the opening quarter. Cowboys have had a couple of possessions and controlled the ball. 22 plays and 1 touchdown. The Oilers 3 plays and a punt. This is their second possession. They start at the 20. Warren Moon at the controls. He's got 12 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions this year. And there's his first of today, and a first down to Ernest Gibbons out to the 37-yard line. Everson Walls made the tackle. There's Gibbons. He's only 5'9", 172 pounds. As a rookie, caught 61. Last year he had 53. Came in today with 42. Hill to the left, Gibbons to the right. And it's Rozier, hit immediately by 99 Kevin Brooks. Brooks from Michigan in his 4th year with the Cowboys makes the tackle after a yard gain.
Cowboys need to get some big plays from that defense now. They've had some good plays offensively. Good start on the day. Cowboys, one of the few teams in the NFL still playing out of the base 4-3 defense. There's a listing of them, and you notice they're all NFC teams and some pretty fine football teams on that list. Cowboys still employing, though, the flex defense, which causes them to pull people off of the line and plays some of their defensive linemen in a 4-point stance. They're not in a flex at this moment, however, as everyone is up on the ball.
2nd and 9 for Moon. Has to unload. Too tall Jones applying the pressure. And he avoided the sack. Jones has 7.5 sacks. He's got to be the best 37-year-old defensive player in the league.
An absolute marvel. And I've got to tell you that he is still playing emotional football. Looking at him there as he comes around Dean Steinkuhler and just puts the hammer on Warren Moon.
Too tall and too quick. End of the first quarter at Texas Stadium. He hasn't improved a bit.
Well, and those turkeys are definitely not around, but this is no turkey here as Dallas getting off to a surprisingly good start against the Houston Oilers.
8 years ago, how time do fly. Warren Moon trying to fly, and it does get away from too tall and completes to Lonzo Highsmith. And Highsmith is all the way to the 36-yard line. What a play by Moon. There's the athletic talent of the 32-year-old Houston quarterback who appeared to be destined to be sacked for a big loss.
When we first saw Warren, we saw him in the Canadian League of the NFL, and it was his great mobility that I think attracted NFL scouts. That and his strong throwing arm. Boy, he's got great presence as a quarterback, and that's what they call a scramble drill. Short receivers go deep and stay moving. Long receivers come back off the field. Got a hurry-up offense out there.
26-yard play. Cowboys barely got their defensive team on the field. First down. Houston in Cowboy territory for the first time today. And it's Rozier slamming down to the 30-yard line in a gain of 6. He leads the Oilers in rushing this year right at the 700-yard mark.
They're trapping on Ed Too Tall Jones, big number 72. You see the trap right there by 63 Munchak. It's a good one. And Rozier, who has great eyes and great pick-a-hole ability, very, very quick to take advantage of that play.
120 yards to 21 in the first quarter, but it's the Oilers only 30 yards away from a tying touchdown. Second down, 3.5. Rozier on a draw, breaking a tackle. First down inside the 25. Gary Cobb, who played at the University of Southern California. And do they have a date this coming weekend with Notre Dame for number 1? As we told you earlier, the Cowboys all season long, particularly in the last 3 games, have had their troubles in the first half.
Gotta wonder if Gary Cobb isn't the only player to have ever played for both Detroit and Dallas in a Thanksgiving Day game. Somebody's going to call in and say wrong, but he's the only one I can remember doing it.
Golden Turkey Award. Wide open is Drew Hill, and on first down, Moon has another 11 yards. Stealing the ball was Manny Hendricks, but after the whistle.
This red gun offense, tough on a defense. Ernest Givens very simply before the game said, you double me, you double Hill, you can't double everybody. And here's the singled up man right here, man to man, and Moon just finds him and gets him the football. And I'll tell you, that's tough. That is tough to cover that kind of speed. That's tough on Moon too, as Moon is buried, but he'll take it. He's a tough quarterback.
2 minutes 15 seconds into the second quarter. Dallas leads 7-0. First down, Houston at the 14. Snap directly to Rozier, who's down to the 11-yard line. That's a play that the Oilers use frequently out of the shotgun. Direct snap to the fullback, or running back, this time Rozier.
Of course, the Moon would ordinarily take the ball, but watch the ball being snapped right here directly to Rozier. And of course, what they're hoping as Moon continues to drop back is that the line will rush. Randy White, I think, hooked up in that, but the linebackers responded pretty well to shut it down to a short gain. But both of these teams love that little bag of tricks. They like to have those gimmicks and gadgets going for them.
2nd and 7. Looking for Givens. Oh, it's over Givens' head, and underneath was Curtis Duncan, number 80, as they crossed right at the goal line. Billy Bates in the thick of it.
In and out of the hands of Duncan, and I really believe it was Duncan's pass all the way. But you'll see that they're working him right across the middle. Yeah, Givens has gone inside to try and attract the double coverage. That's a ball that well could have been caught.
Moon seemed to think so. 3rd and 7. 7-0. The Cowboys lead early in the second quarter. Into the end zone. Incomplete to Duncan, who had to toe dance along that back line and try to make the play.
Cowboys coming with a blitz as Ron Burton was there to put pressure on Moon. Watch from the left-hand side, number 57 coming in. Well, we'll see it at the other end actually first. Along the end line now, that ball is going to be thrown to the back of the end zone. Receivers there, but touched. Ooh, so close, and would have been a touchdown. That's 2 that he has had in the hands of receivers in the end zone.
Tony Zendejas, his field goal is good from 28 yards, and it's a 7-3 game as Zendejas clicks, although the Oilers wanted more. Timeout, 11:34 left in the half. You could title that shot Moon and June, the quarterback with the man who calls the plays from the sidelines.
June Jones, a quarterback in his own right in Atlanta. In fact, he was teasing us. He was a quarterback 10 years ago. We did a game in Atlanta. He was supposed to start. They preempted the beginning of the game for the Popes, and by the time they got there, June was gone, and all his friends at home said, you really didn't start that game. You weren't even there.
We did that game.
We did that game. We were there.
The kick comes down to Cornell Burbage. And the Cowboys' return man is out to the 27, where Domingo Bryan, number 38, is first to make the hit. Spencer Tillman, number 33, is the designated wedge breaker today.
This is an honor. Watch what he does as he gets in there. He just goes right over the top. That's what's called sacrificing the body into the wedge. Cowboys able to bring that ball out to the 27. Not a bad return.
Who's the best? Who's the best you can remember ever doing that? Not exactly an assignment anyone would want. That.
Well, I can tell you this. It usually didn't last more than about a year because that is a thankless job, breaking the wedge. I can't tell you a funny story about breaking the wedge. In my 13th year, Landry assigned Deacon Jones and I to break the wedge in the Pro Bowl game.
No, thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker ahead for a couple of yards. That gives him 50 yards rushing in the first half. The obvious workhorse and a man admired by all who have watched him and all who have played with him.
One of the things that Tom Landry has sought to develop here is a much bigger offensive line. Look at the right side there. 2 pounds shy of 300 pounds, just shy of 6'4 and a half. And with Tom Rafferty in there at 6'3", 263, you get a feeling for how big the rest of that offensive line is.
Valor play action, and he's got lots of room. Goes to his tight end, Steve Folsom. Only the 5th catch of the year for Folsom, who played at Utah and was the former conditioning coach of the U.S. ski team in the 1984 Olympic year. He says, I can't even ski. I think I've gone up on the mountain once.
He's quite a magician, isn't he, too, Dick?
Yeah.
Prestidigitation.
Prestidigitator, indeed.
Yeah. Didn't need to be too magic on that play. That was when your running game is going, the play action game becomes very effective. And that play action pass gave Valor plenty of time. So far today, he really has not been chased that badly by Houston's defense.
Jerry Glanville in the All Black, the Johnny Cash look that started last year. Quite in contrast to the dean of NFL coaches, 64-year-old Landry. And Landry has his ace in the hole, and that's Herschel Walker, who plows for 9 more.
Right at the end of that run, Jeff Donaldson, who is a very physical safety, got a clunk helmet to helmet with Herschel, and I could feel it all the way up here. You could hear that helmet, cracked helmet, and he said, ouch.
Donaldson from Colorado in his 5th year, a Denver Bronco fan growing up. Steve Foley was his hero.
There's the end of that play, and the man just bouncing out the other end of that collision, Jeff Donaldson.
It's Walker again. No, great fake, and Valor goes open. Urban. Michael Urban was open at the 15-yard line, and they just missed connections. Patrick Allen finally got there. What a good fake.
Within the framework of a game, there are only about 4 or 5 plays that can possibly turn the nature of the game. This was one of those plays, and it was a missed opportunity for the Cowboys. This play has score, or at least 10-yard line written all over it, but Michael Urban, who has shown a great deal of promise, blew the opportunity.
3rd down, 1.5 yards. And Walker is hit in the backfield. Slashing through is Robert Lyles.
Now that's the kind of big play that this Houston defense has been making all year. Lyles, left side of your screen. Linebacker just flying across. This is a penetrating defense. They get quickly across. Look how quickly they're across the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at all the blue shirts there. Absolutely amazing. This is a defense that never stops running.
And Jerry Glanville likes to use that expression, we come at you 100 miles an hour. Saxon to punt. Kenny Johnson solo, return man back at the 15. Beautiful kick. Johnson's going to let it go. And the Cowboys down it inside the 9-yard line. Great kick by Saxon, who punted for San Diego State. And a timeout with 9 minutes remaining in the first half. Dallas 7, Houston 3. The beautiful Texas Stadium, which the crowd now has grown up into the high 40s, maybe 50,000 for this Thanksgiving Day big game.
Cowboys have been famous for their ability to force the turnover. They've averaged just under 44 over the last 5 seasons. They only have 13 this year. It has really hurt their defensive performance.
Well, that's almost unbelievable that in 12 games, any NFL team can only take the ball away 13 times. That's by far the worst of the 28 NFL clubs.
Dick, I think one of the things that happens, this season has gone badly for them, and I think those young players are sitting in those meetings listening to people getting chewed out, and they're afraid to get aggressive. It's aggressiveness that causes fumbles, and aggressiveness also will occasionally cause mistakes, and I think they're afraid to make the mistakes. They're playing conservatively, and they're not getting the turnovers.
Rozier picks up about 3 on first down. Now Moon, incomplete to Drew Hill. Manny Hendricks, who was not a football player at Utah, played basketball. In fact, was an all-Western Athletic Conference guard, averaged almost 16 a game as a college senior, but one of those picks that the Cowboys have been famous for through the years, finding a non-football player but a good athlete. Warren Moon is 3 for 9 so far in this first half. And the 37-year-old eyes of Too Tall will be focused on Moon. Oh, the ball knocked free, and again it was Hendricks knocking it along with Victor Scott away from Drew Hill.
Warren Moon victimized already with 2 dropped touchdown passes. This is a first down pass from the other side of the field. Moon has his man. He has the football in his hands. No excuse for that. Drew Hill, who's a fine receiver and having an outstanding year, simply dropped that ball.
Kelvin Martin back as Montgomery will take the snap in his own end zone. Wobbly kick. Martin drifting at his 43. Fumbles and then wisely ducks out of bounds at the Cowboy bench, shy of the 50-yard line. And with it, a timeout on this Thanksgiving Thursday.
Happy Thanksgiving to a lady that kept 17 kids together. Thank you, Mom.
That's a nice touch. Michael Irvin expressing all of our emotions on this day. Thank you, Mom. 17 in the family there in Florida. Mother Pearl.
Well, I heard you talking to your mom and wishing her a happy Thanksgiving. It's a day for that, isn't it?
You bet. They're watching up there in Pinconning, Michigan today. Your mom's where? In Utah?
Logan, Utah today, yeah.
Oh, there he is. Herschel Walker, lucky to be in Irving, Texas after that hit. Ray Childress slamming in there, the 270-pound defensive end.
Watch number 79 following in behind. They're trying to get that. Gogan is trying to cut him down, but Childress, who's one of the hardest working men in the NFL, listen to this play. Just listen to it.
Ooh. Thud. That's a big league thud. Second down and long for the Cowboys, who lead 7-3. Dump off to Walker. And he's out of bounds shy of the 50. It'll be 3rd and 8.
This Houston team, a very emotionally based team. In fact, talking to some of the Cowboy players who've watched films of them play, they said, wonder how they practice. I mean, they come on the field. They don't stop running. But I think a short week hurts an emotional team because they're into a preparation cycle. And they, of course, can't do that. You've only got a couple of days to get ready. They have not done a lot of work during this week to get ready. And I think they, in spite of the fact that they're playing well in this game, they're not playing as emotionally as we've seen them play most of their other games during the season.
3rd down 8 for Pelor. Uh-oh, that's in a bad place and almost intercepted by Bostic, intended for Urban and into a crowd of 4 Houston defenders.
I think if I were a quarterback coach, I would tell Steve Pelor, when you break out of there and start scrambling, I don't want you to throw the football. A great many of his interceptions and mistakes have come on the scramble. Here he is, running out. He's got some room to run, but he wants to throw the football. Count the number of them. 3, 4 blue shirts who have as good a chance to catch that ball as his one receiver. Not a good play.
Especially when you throw back across the middle after rolling out. Oilers like to block punts. They have a record-tying 5 this year. Ooh, close as Saxon nails another fine kick, but this one bounces through the end zone for the touchback. Or Saxon had to be taking a good look at that defensive line.
See it and don't see it, like a quarterback looking at the pass rush. Woof, just barely out of there.
Well, you could feel the enemy on that punt. Timeout, 7:05 left in the second quarter. In the earlier Thanksgiving Day game, of course, this tradition began with the Lions. They were blanked by Minnesota. The Vikings winning impressively 23-0 in a game that seemed rather flat emotionally to me. Merlin, is that part of the Thanksgiving, the short week?
I think it hurts you, Dick. I played in those games. In fact, I played against Detroit when Glanville was the defensive coach there. And he talked about the emotional level of that game. He said, you came into that game, you guys were half asleep. He said, unfortunately, you beat us because we just didn't have the horses that you had. But you can't. You have a difficult time because you're so into a cycle for the week, and it's a 7-day cycle.
Okay, what is the cycle?
What is 4-day week? There's a cycle, if you will, to look at the size, as we mentioned, of this 6'6" defensive line, but those numbers on the Houston side impressive too. We'll get back to that in just a moment.
Down the middle, complete the hill, and a first down at the Houston 48-yard line. Michael Downs on the coverage.
Well, if you've got one speed receiver, the defense doesn't have any trouble covering him. 2, you start to have problems. 4, you've got a long afternoon. Everson Walls, number 24, who's one of the best of the man-to-man coverage guys here, but he's better laying off, and Warren Moon knows he's got a big play downfield. I don't think there are many quarterbacks in the league that can get those big chunks of yardage better than Warren Moon can.
Through the hands of Ernest Gibbons as he was hit by Everson Walls. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Oilers.
Walls a unique cornerback. Most cornerbacks talk to play inside out. Walls likes to play the outside of those receivers where he can keep an eye on the quarterback. An interesting style of his own that has allowed him to not only to anticipate but to feel the release of that football and go for better position on that receiver.
Well, it's worked. He has 43 career interceptions, the only man in NFL history to lead the NFL 3 different seasons in intercepts. On 2nd and 10, Highsmith in big trouble, and down he goes at the 37-yard line. Alonzo Highsmith fumbling the toss from Moon, and Mark Whalen, 95, was there immediately for Dallas.
Just a little toss outside as we watch from the other side of the field, and Highsmith momentarily took his eyes off the football. He just cannot afford to do that. Jeffcoat, number 77, along with Whalen and Eugene Lockhart, number 56, all there to make the big play. And 3rd and a mile.
More like 3rd and 20. And Hill makes the catch and a first down at the Dallas 41. What a play. Moon firing a clothesline to Drew Hill, who spears it for the first down.
Moments ago, you saw Drew Hill drop what appeared to be an easy first down pass. I got to tell you, if you want to test the courage of a receiver, get him up in the air with a pass like this when he knows he's going to be drilled. Michael Downs, 26, wham! Didn't burp that ball back up. Hangs on, 1st and 10. Chunk yardage. I mentioned Moon's ability to get the big yardage. A perfect example of it there.
Trailing 7-3, Houston on the drive. This is Alan Pinkett having his best year in the NFL. The former Notre Dame All-America 3 times with the Irish and All-American. Pinkett, with 446 yards rushing, is second for the Oilers behind Rozier.
We talked about the importance of an offensive quarterback. In this Dallas secondary, they have a defensive quarterback, too, Michael Downs. And Downs has had a very difficult year. Been an up-and-down year for him and has not been there when he was needed on a number of occasions. Tried to play hurt through a good part of the year with a groin injury. It's hurt his performance, and his inconsistency has hurt this defense.
Draw play to Pinkett. Hit hard. Gary Cobb and Jim Jeffcoat collaborating on the stop at the 32-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and a short 2.
Pinkett's surprisingly strong. He's one of those squirting runners. Just seems to squirt out of there. His small stature kind of hides him in behind that big offensive line, and the next thing you know, away he goes.
5'9", but 192 pounds is Pinkett.
He could climb right into Bruce Davis's pocket. You wouldn't even know he was there.
And Big Bruce, number 77, that left tackle, former Raider. Shotgun on 3rd and 2. Great protection. And it's a first down catch to Hill inside the 25.
And you say, why run a shotgun on 3rd and 2? Part of Jerry Glanville's philosophy, June Jones's philosophy offensively, will run the formations without regard to down and distance. And this is a perfect example. Dallas with substitutions for what they thought would be a running play, a short yardage play, faced instead with a shotgun and an easy completion from Moon.
Drew Hill, who played at Georgia Tech, drafted in a late round by the Rams, and Houston acquiring him from the Rams in '85. He's really produced for them. And the 2-minute timeout is signaled with the Houston Oilers driving toward a possible go-ahead score. The Cowboys have led throughout, but it's just 7-3 for the team of Landry. Lyles, who is a karate expert, came up with a house of pain referring to the Astrodome. Said the guy who works out with in karate owns a greenhouse. And it applies even here.
I don't think you can find a way to carry that Astrodome with you. They'd like to do that. They have played very well at home this year.
7-3. Tenuous lead for the Cowboys. First down Oilers at the Dallas 22. 2 minutes to go in the half. Underneath and wide open, number 83, Leonard Harris, who played at Texas Tech. His first catch of the day, and it's close to another first down. Halftime. Bob, Ahmad, and Paul are in our studios back in New York. It's a pleasure to have Gail Gardner with us here at Texas Stadium. So stay with us. He'll have highlights of the first game and some interesting features for you, and a recap of the first half of this battle for Texas. Moon looking into the end zone. Should have been intercepted by Victor Scott, intended for Drew Hill. And Moon has thrown some very good passes. He elected not wisely on that one, as Scott had him blanketed.
Sometimes you just have to be lucky. You'll get a feeling for Moon's good fortune on this play. As you said, Dick, this is a ball that's thrown into traffic. That's an opportunity right there for Victor Scott. There's 22, Scott. No question about his position on the ball, and Moon said, dodge that one.
Now that's one that doesn't show up in the statistical column. Second and goal. Well, actually 2nd and 10 from just outside the 10. And there goes Rozier for a touchdown. The direct snap, and no one read it.
Saw the play once before. We're going to give you a chance to watch it again. Moon will look like he's going to take this back, but we'll give you a chance to look at it after this play is over. Landry wants to know what went wrong there.
Rozier untouched with his 7th rushing touchdown of the year. It's 9-7 as Zendejas will try the point out of Brent Peace's hold. 10-7 Houston leading for the first time. Shades of the old single wing.
Everyone is concentrating on Warren Moon. But watch the snap right here, and Rozier is just going to bring it up on his own. The defensive lineman read pass all the way. Watch this now as Rozier able to get out, and that's an excellent block by Bruce Matthews, number 74. Really the only man that could have stopped him was right there, and Matthews able to keep him out of the play.
Michael Downs is the man who was coming on a blitz, and he ran right into the block of Matthews, and that left Rozier. Well, Jones did get a tap on the shoulder of Rozier on his way in for the score.
Jones upfield looking pass all the way, and Houston able to pull one out of that bag of tricks that puts 7 points on the board.
12 yards to cap an 80-yard drive by Houston in 11 plays. Mike Rozier of Nebraska has the score.
Dick, so often you like to take advantage of the habits that players develop. And when they see that shotgun, they just assume that that ball is going to the quarterback. They see Moon dropping back, but the ball is not in Moon's hands, and they still think he has it. It's just habit, and they've taken advantage of that with the Houston play that snaps it directly to the running back.
Now for the Cowboys, who have all 3 timeouts remaining. 1:11 left in the half. Burbidge and Higgs are deep. It's Burbidge. And the former Kentucky star has a crack. 35-40, Zendejas hit the beat. He slowed him down. And the tackle made from behind by Eric Sayers, number 51. But an excellent return for the Cowboys, who with 1:03 left have a chance to regain the lead.
A good kickoff man simply attacked the kickoff coverage team. Watch Burbidge. He explodes, looking for a hole, finds it, and then just takes off. You're absolutely right. If he is not slowed down there by Zendejas, I don't think anyone is going to catch up with him.
53 yards for Burbidge, and Zendejas sees his man coming. It's one-on-one and just gets enough of him to cause a stumble and allow Sayers from behind to make the tackle at the 41 of Houston.
Folsom late coming in. They only had 10 men on the field.
Fake to Walker. The throw to Folsom. And it's a first down at the 23. Jeff Donaldson makes the hit. 18 yards on the play. And timeout spent by the Dallas Cowboys. Well, it's been a most interesting first half with the favorites Houston leading, but Dallas threatening to come back under the guidance of Steve Pallor. Welcome back to Texas Stadium. I suppose some of you are busy in the kitchen now cleaning up the Thanksgiving festivities. I hope it's the old man. Hey, he's been watching football all day anyway, and allow the ladies, who are our best fans so often, to enjoy what has become a very interesting game here at Irving, Texas. Roger Ruzek getting ready for what the Cowboys hope will be an extra point, trailing 10-7. It's Walker to the 19-yard line. And the clock at 47-46 seconds. Cowboys have 2 timeouts left. No huddle.
They'll go quickly here.
Certainly in field goal range at the moment.
Pass play called.
To Walker. Out of bounds at the 16 to stop the clock. 26 seconds left in the half. Well, we've seen some exciting games here in Texas with Tom Landry. All 29 of the years in the history of the Cowboys, he's been the man on the sidelines. And we'll review some of that at halftime for you. The Houston-Dallas football history, both starting in 1960.
Landry, of course, Dick, calls the offensive plays. Jerry Glanville calls the defenses and also calls a number of the offensive plays for Houston. So it's mano a mano.
3rd and 3. Did he get out of bounds? No, the clock is running. He got the first down, but didn't get out of bounds. And they're going to have to spend their final timeout, and that does not please Landry, who's saying to Folsom, why didn't you roll out of bounds?
I think Landry thought he was out of bounds, but Folsom, no one touched Folsom as he's on the ground. The ball is still live. Now watch him as he's down on the ground. The ball is still live. Clock is ticking. Well, I think we ran out of tape on that one.
But he got up back in play rather than rolling out of play.
Let's look at the end of the play, which is the important part. No, he needed to get out of bounds, and he never did. He's touched down. Good call by the official because his hip touched down before he rolled out of bounds.
That really limits Landry because without a timeout, he can't afford a running play because then there'd be no time to get the field goal unit on. No time perhaps for one pass play into the end zone, and then Ruzick would be called for the field goal. Line of scrimmage, the 11-yard line. It's Houston 10, Dallas 7.
It's been in this end of the field that the Cowboys have had a lot of problems during the year, getting down to the red zone inside the 20 and then self-destructing.
Almost intercepted by Bostic. Intended for Michael Irvin, I believe, or was it Folsom in the end zone?
This is exactly the kind of play that has backfired against this team as you watch Thornton Chandler coming down inside. He was one of the mid-range receivers here, but that ball thrown way high, just barely first batted and then almost scooped by Jeff Bostic, the strong safety.
They used only 5 seconds, so with 11 seconds left, apparently they'll go for another throw, and they don't have enough men on the field.
That's twice we've seen them with only one tight end on the field.
They've called timeout, but I thought they'd already used their 3. They did have one left, so they call a time with 11 seconds left. The 45-second clock was down to 5 seconds. So it's another shot at the touchdown and then the field goal try. And as a defensive coach, a defensive player, how much of a chance can you take in this situation?
I think you've got to put some pressure on, and you better believe that Houston will do that. That's their style defensively, and Glanville quick to point out that they don't back away from what they think is right, even if the situation might call for other teams to play the conservative call. We'll see how many bodies are coming.
And this is a conservative call because Landry's going to go for the field goal. And the fans don't like it here. With 11 seconds, they figured there was time for a final shot at a touchdown.
Trying to take the sure points in this situation. And Landry, I think, saying, let's get what we're sure we can get.
29-yard attempt by Ruzick. And at halftime, the game even at 10. Although 7 seconds left before the gun.
Landry will be criticized for that, but this is a Cowboy team with a very shallow confidence level. And I think what he's saying is, I want the points, then we can go in. We know where we are at halftime. We've got one half of football to play. If we go for the touchdown and mess it up here, don't get any points, that might shake us before we go into halftime.
That's a good point. The whole negativism that would surround a 10-7 deficit when you had the opportunity to score at the half, then you got to wade through that at halftime. Now at least they can say, hey, we're playing a 30-minute game. You've done well.
Cowboys had good emotional flow. They came out, established themselves early as we said they had to do with their running game. Herschel Walker carrying that ball down as they were able to pound Houston's interior and front seven to get that ball down and punch it into the end zone. But it has been a good half of football for these Cowboys, especially after the way they played over the last 3 weeks.
Well, how about the Oilers? They're the ones who really have a lot at stake here. Jerry Glanville's club, despite the fact they're 8-4, have never won more than 2 in a row all season long. And yet, as you pointed out, if they win this game and the next 3, they not only avoid the wild card spot, they will host the game in the second round of the playoffs, beating Cincinnati for the AFC Central lead. There it is. Of course, one of the wins would be at Cincinnati should they win 4 in a row. But hardly settled yet. Cincinnati and Buffalo play this Sunday. That'll be something. You'll see it on NBC. They skid it down to Harris. And the return man for the Oilers out to the 35-yard line with 1 second left in the first half. The schedule for Houston is Pittsburgh at home, Cincinnati, at home at the Astrodome, and then they finish at Cleveland. And of course, Cleveland, part of that whole playoff battle, as the Central Division is the strongest of the three in the AFC this year. Stay with us for NFL Live at halftime.
Number 78 is eligible for Houston.
Number 78, Maggs, is playing a tight end position. Actually, Houston came into this game with only one tight end, Jamie Williams.
Verhulst is on the 47-man roster, but he was inactivated for this game.
So Williams is on one end of the line and Maggs the other. It doesn't really matter. It's the sit-down final play, and that is the end of the first half. Texas in the north and Houston in the south. 29 years of professional football in the heart of Texas. We'll examine that more in depth. And here on this Thanksgiving Day game 1988, they're even at the half, 10 aside. Pinkett